Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Welcome to Wealth Wizards, where we're all about unlocking your financial potential. And for today's video, we're diving into the top financial mistakes that are keeping you from achieving your dreams. But don't worry, we're not just here to point out the problems. We're here to empower you with solutions that can transform your financial journey. If you're new here, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on all the money-saving insights and strategies coming your way. Let's get started. Number 1. Let's talk about relying on one source of income. If the last 7 years have taught us anything, it's that it's dangerous to count on just one source of income. Because of the pandemic, many of us lost our jobs, and now we're seeing more layoffs announced. Having a reliance on a single source of income leaves us vulnerable to a sudden decline in our financial situation. Dependence on one's day work is widespread, especially among the middle class. But by doing so, we are putting our financial security in the hands of our employer, which is a risky proposition. It is crucial to diversify our income sources in order to break out of this rut. Think about getting a part-time or full-time work. Whether it's babysitting, driving for an app like Uber, creating an internet business, or investing in resources like stocks and real estate. Instead of putting all our eggs in one basket at work, we should diversify our sources of income. Number 2. We often overlook the importance of financial literacy. Whether we recognize it or not, our financial literacy has a major effect on our daily life. Our monetary health is just as important to our happiness as our mental and physical health, although we tend to prioritize on the former. In our 20s, when we're busy having fun, finding love, and trying out new restaurants, it's easy to put off learning about money management. The repercussions of our lack of financial knowledge were less severe when we were young and had less to lose. It gets progressively more difficult to correct if we continue this thinking throughout our 30s and 40s without making an effort to enhance our financial understanding. This omission reverberates through our entire existence. We need to have a firm grip on the basics of personal finance, including familiarity with tax laws, an accurate accounting of our income and expenditures, and the ability to use our money as effectively as possible. Unfortunately, we are on our own to learn these essential skills because they are not taught in school. We can't break out of the cycle of working for money if we continue to disregard the importance of financial literacy and refuse to study. Number 3. Let's talk about ignoring the significance of savings for our old age. Let's say your pocketbook has a hole and you're out and about when you lose $50. You wouldn't allow this to go on if it happened every day, would you? You would probably either have the purse fixed or buy a new one. The same logic applies to investment. Yet, despite knowing that, we're missing out on compound growth of our savings if we don't put money away on a regular basis. Many of us still don't do so. Despite this understanding, many of us still don't take action. The absence of easily available resources is often to blame. It might be difficult to know where or how to invest, depending on our individual circumstances. True financial progress, as emphasized by Naval Ravikant in his book The Almanac, comes from owning equity in a business rather than just exchanging time for money. When planning for retirement, index funds and target date funds can help you get started even if you don't know where to begin. Keep in mind that your financial future will be much more secure if you start saving for retirement as early as possible. Number 4. Now, let's discuss the tendency to overspend beyond our means. When we finally land that dream job, get that promotion, or cash in on that bonus, we may feel compelled to treat ourselves to a few niceties. Our car is one of those places. We may think that we can afford the lease payments on a car even though we can't afford to buy one outright. However, this mentality frequently causes us to spend more money than we have on a vehicle. This creates a significant barrier to economic advancement. Having to keep working to make the payments on a car loan can be a major source of stress. We may either save up enough money to buy a car altogether, or we can make sure that our auto loan stays within acceptable limits. Car costs shouldn't exceed 15% of our annual income as a general guideline. A good rule of thumb is to spend no more than 10% of your annual salary on transportation. This includes the cost of the vehicle itself plus gas, insurance, repairs, and upkeep. Many of us also have a habit of spending too much money on our homes. It's not uncommon for banks to extend mortgages for 4 or 5 times our annual income. This means that with even a modest increase in income, we can afford a larger residence. However, we must be careful that the house we purchase is within our means. It is recommended that mortgage payments not exceed 28% of monthly gross income. Keep in mind that this represents 28% of our gross income. Number 5. Let's tackle the issue of undervaluing ourselves. This is a common blunder that many of us make. In order to keep their employees from looking elsewhere for work, many businesses pay people less than they are worth. A lot of us probably know co-workers who have gone without a raise or who got an insultingly small one, 3 or 4%. That didn't even keep up with inflation. This means that our income drops even though we have more experience than we did the year before. Even after we leave our current position, the company may decide to increase our pay in order to compete for future top talent. We might easily slip into the middle-class pattern of viewing this as the usual because of how familiar it is to us. When and how much we get paid is spelled out in detail. However, this practice keeps us mired in a rut. The best way out of this rut is to look for a new employment. Leaving one company for another typically results in a pay raise of 10% to 20%, which is much higher than the 3 to 4% gain we may obtain if we stayed put. Put in your best effort, but if you feel you're not getting fairly compensated, don't be afraid to look into other options. Make connections, research potential employers, investigate salary ranges, and have that all-important talk. Although uprooting and starting over may be difficult, the possibility of a 30% raise in pay can be invested to develop a secondary source of revenue, making the relocation worthwhile. Number 6. Let's delve into the dynamics of consumption versus production. It's common to think about the relationship between income and spending in terms of a flowchart. Production and consumption is another angle to take. When we contribute something of worth to the world, usually through our work, we are rewarded monetarily. When we spend money on things like houses, cars, and subscription services like Netflix, however, it disappears. A person's economic health can be assessed by looking at how much they spend versus how much they earn. This equation tends toward the negative for many of us, unfortunately. Incredibly, the typical American has debt of over $96,000, while the typical Brit has debt of over £33,000. More cash leaves our accounts than comes in. Understanding how this impacts our cash flow is critical. We need to do 2 things: reduce wasteful spending and invest as much money as possible in productive enterprises. Number 7. Let's address the temptation of conformity. There is a lot of pressure to spend money in today's culture. People feel they need to in order to fit in. Everyone, regardless of wealth, is vulnerable to this tendency. I've met people with 6-figure salaries who, instead of focusing on growing their fortune, are preoccupied with showing it off. It's all too common to overspend for social purposes and show off expensive purchases on social media. However, there is a difference between spending money on things that genuinely make us happy and spending money only to keep up with the Jonases. The middle class is a captive of this cycle. We live in a status-obsessed culture that compels us to strive for material success without providing a compelling reason to do so. The trick is to set our financial priorities in line with our core beliefs. What is it that we really want to accomplish? Whether it's the option to fly business class or independence from the 9-to-5 rat race, our choices should originate from inside rather than be imposed from without. Leaving the rat race is more than just leaving a job. It means ending the never-ending pursuit of more money and more stuff. It's about prioritizing our aspirations and dreams for the future over other things. So, are you ready to take the first step towards financial freedom? Which of these mistakes resonates with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, your journey to wealth is just beginning, and we're here to support you every step of the way. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more eye-opening content. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep making those smart financial choices.